He's a tough street-fighting lawyer with the highest ratings for honesty and integrity. He's here to answer your legal questions and get you the help you need. You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram of Joe Ingram Law. Joe Ingram has more than 20 years' experience fighting for his clients here in the state of Alabama. Joe's focus is criminal defense and family law. You don't have to face your legal issue alone. You've got Joe Ingram on your side. In case of sensitive legal matters, you can always reach out directly to Joe at joeingramlaw.com and arrange for a private consultation. And now, Alabama's defender of the defenseless, protector of the people, and all-around good guy, Joe Ingram.
All right. You're listening to Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer on WERC 105.5 in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR in Tuscaloosa. We are back for another edition of the Legal Lowdown. We got a great show today. You could always check out my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even my YouTube channel. Remember, if you have a case, better call Joe. If you have a case, better call Joe. Today, we have a great guest in the studio, and we teased her up last week. We have the mayor of Homewood, Jennifer Andress.
Andress. I know. I did that to you. We
talked about that before we started. I screwed it up to begin with. Okay. Next week, we have Amy Aiken in the studio. She is a candidate running for the 2nd Congressional District on the Republican side of the ticket. You will want to listen for that interview. She's going to be a rock star guest, and she's going to be a family candidate, and you do not want to miss that. Before we start with the mayor of Homewood, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham is a full-service real estate brokerage that can significantly reduce the amount you pay to sell your home. There are no high commission fees here. Their brokerage was established right here in Birmingham over 10 years ago. They remain locally owned and operated. Here you're going to find agents with over 50 years of combined experience and excellence, performance, whether it's listing, buying, selling a home. They're with you every step of the way. So you can feel confident when you've made the right decision with them when it comes to selling your home. Give them a call today, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. The other sponsor of our show that we're so proud of is Shelby Fence Company. Shelby Fence Company of the greater Birmingham area. They've had 30 years of experience of installation and repair across the greater Birmingham metro area. You can give them a call at 205-664-1551, 205-664-1551, or you can check them out, shelbyfencecompany.com, shelbyfencecompany.com. As always, you can see their commercials on my YouTube channel during the commercial breaks during news and weather. All right, so we're going to get right to our guest today, the new mayor of Homewood. She's just almost a year into her position, Miss Jennifer Andress.
Andress.
I did it wrong again.
Everybody wants to make it fancy.
I'm sorry.
No, I said it. I think I made that happen because I said everyone wants to say Andres when I walked in, and then I put that in your head. Now that's what you want to say. It's Andress.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, Jennifer, I've never gotten to meet you, but I've known your name for a long time. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
You are the new mayor of Homewood. Introduce yourself a little bit to greater Birmingham area and specifically Talk Radio of Alabama.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. I have, like you said, I ran for mayor a year ago. And before that, I was on the council for 9 years. So, you and I talked earlier about the running community. That's kind of where I came from. I was the president of an organization called the Birmingham Track Club, and back in 2012, 13, and 14, and we had about 1,200 members. And I was out on the roads a lot. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time and doing sort of leadership roles around, like, my kids' school or the Bell Center. I was really involved in a lot of nonprofit work just as a stay-at-home mom. And I got really passionately involved with this Hollywood Boulevard Bridge project as the BTC president. My good friend, and you probably know Paul DeMarco, everybody knows Paul. Paul was in the State House at the time, and he got me involved just to advocate for some safe passage over Hollywood Boulevard going over Highway 280, which connects Homewood to Mountain Brook through the city of Birmingham. And so I, of course, knew how dangerous that bridge was. I knew how many hundreds of people go across that bridge on a daily basis. It's always in use. And so I thought, oh, no brainer. I'll jump right into that. And so that was in 2012. And as we talked about this morning, we break ground finally on our sidewalk, which is going to bring us to our bridge Monday. So that's 14 years later.
Hey.
But hey, exactly. So
that's bureaucracy for you, Jennifer.
that is government for you. Somebody literally commented on one of my Facebook posts today and said, "Wow, that went fast." And I was like, "Well, not really," but that led me to run for city council in 2016. That project, and anyway, that was 10 years ago, and here we are.
That's great. We're going to talk a little bit about running if we get there because it's close to my heart. I know you love it too. But we're really here because we've been doing some mayors this summer. We've done a lot of political figures. You're the ambassador of the city now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this first year as mayor. What has surprised you about the position? I know you were on the city council for 8 or 9 years, serving Ward 5. What has been a shock to you, and what have you thought this is more than I planned for, if anything?
Sure. So, we've had so much change in the last year. If you may or may not know, or if you're following Homewood along, you may or may not know, we've changed our form of government. That took place in November when we all got sworn in. And before I was on the council, there were 11 of us. So we had 5 wards. We had 2 counselors per ward. We had a council president, and then we had a mayor. And we had the mayor-council form of government. So the CEO of the city was the mayor. Personnel fell under him. It had always been a man up to that point. So I can say him. The mayor handled the budget and presented it to the council, and then the council worked through the budget. But it was really, it was a completely different role than what I have now as the mayor and a council manager form of government. So now we have a city manager. So in 2024, we had been sort of advised and mentored through changing our form of government by the likes of someone like Steve Ammons, who was a county commissioner at the time, or Sam Gaston, who was the city manager in Mountain Brook at the time, who we all have wonderful relationships with. And they really kind of spoke to us to say, hey, there's a really great way to manage your city, and Homewood is there. Homewood needs central management. Homewood needs somebody full-time in City Hall. Homewood needs a CEO who is at City Hall full-time managing 12 departments instead of 12 separate silos. And it made perfect sense. And so, we sort of embarked upon, we did a deep dive. We looked at the different forms of having a city manager, having a city administrator. That person reports to the mayor. That person, is in statute codified by the Alabama state law. And so we put it all out to a vote in 2024, and our citizens approved having a council manager form of government. So in November, when the new council took place, there were only 5 of us, so totally different. We had 4 wards, 1 rep per ward, and then me as the mayor, and I also serve as the council president. So that's a difference from what the previous mayor did. That's a difference from what I did, obviously just a counselor. And so then our interim city manager was our former city engineer, and he has now been installed as our permanent city manager. His name is Cale Smith. So it's been different from top to bottom. I mean, just really, and that's been a surprise because I thought I knew what I was doing in 9 years, and I love it. And but it's been a change. I love it. I think it's going well, and just the city's rocking along. So we're just real proud of all the things we got going on in Homewood.
That's great. I don't want to. I just want to bring it up because I think it's important, but I don't want to belabor it because we had Catherine Robertson on our show. Mm-hmm. Attorney General candidate. Obviously, she won the Republican nomination. She is going to be the AG in January. Mm-hmm. We can joke how all day long she knows she's going to win, and I think it's great. Yeah. She's going to be the first female Attorney General in the state of Alabama, and I know you've been asked this. Yeah. You're the first female mayor of Homewood. And I think it's great. I don't think you have to. I'm not into these labels that you got to be a man or a woman or DEI or any of these things. Just for a second, talk about being the first female mayor of Homewood. I mean, what does that mean to you?
Oh, I'm just honored beyond belief, and just so it's so cool to go out and talk to students. Young female students. It's so great to be asked that question by young females. So it's an honor. I will I'll tell a funny story. Graham Smith is the mayor in Mountain Brook, and she's the first elected female mayor in Mountain Brook. She's a very dear friend of mine, and we work really wonderfully together.
She's going to be on in a couple of weeks.
Well, please, I was texting with her as I was sitting on the road outside before I came in. Anyway, she tells a hilarious story, which was also my experience. We were on a Kiwanis panel together last week, and she talked about, when it came time, Stuart Welch was stepping down in Mountain Brook, and our council was going to change, and our mayor was not going to run again. And so we were both going through the same thing at the same time, where people were looking for candidates. And the way she says it, she's so funny. You're going back, we were going back 25 years, literally 25 years to look at, maybe a man that hadn't even been in City Hall in 20 years. And she was saying, what about Dusty McGillihorn? Or, just making up names like some guy that hadn't, been involved in forever. And then we both separately were like, okay, well, we can do this. We've got this. We can do this. And so that's kind of how we both ended up where we were. And it's just such an honor. And I love Homewood with all my heart and soul. And we're 8 square miles, so we are just like a dense, just 8 square miles, and it's just a really great community. I just love it dearly. So honored to be there.
I was looking at your CV, your resume, how you got where you are. I know that 2012, you were the Birmingham Track Club president. I know that you had been on the Homewood City Council for 8 years for Ward 5 or 9 years. And I know that you went through Leadership Birmingham, right?
Yeah, 2020.
2020.
COVID.
Yes, ma'am. So I guess my question would be to you, was this just a natural progression, or when you really started out being a city council person, did you envision yourself being here almost a decade later and being the mayor of Homewood? Or does that make sense what I'm asking you?
It totally does, because it's 100%. Like, half the time I say, I can't believe it. It's so weird. And then the other half is like, this makes perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still so strange to me. But also, it made perfect sense. If that, I can't explain. It's just like it's either 50% of this or 50% of that. But I will say, let me say this: I have a really big personality. I'm always sort of I'm a huge volunteer. Like, I'm always a say yes person. I'm always a you say what you're going to do, you do it person. I get involved in things 110%. And I was at I graduated from the University of Texas in Austin, and I was a I was a school representative. I was a representative on the student government there. So, I get into something and then I get way into something. And so the cool thing about Birmingham, I think, is that you can get involved in anything that you love and are passionate about and find yourself in a leadership role pretty quickly. I mean, you say yes to something, or you show up for something, or you continue to be there for something. Next thing you know, they're going to ask you, hey, can you be in charge of this? And the next thing you know, and it just builds from there. I really do think Birmingham is unique, that it offers you that opportunity to really be involved as you want to be. So yeah, here I am. And the other thing too, I'll mention is Birmingham's unique in that we have 35 different municipalities. And so getting involved at the city council level with 11 people, you can either show up every other Monday night and, don't say a whole lot and then, not do a whole lot, or you can just get as involved as you want to get. And then next thing you know, you're finding yourself sort of at a county level working with other councilors across the county, which is something I did, which is something Graham did. We have an organization called the Jefferson County Council Coalition, and she and I both were presidents of that. So now you're working on sort of regional efforts, and then you see what could happen for our community. We all just really work together, not just be in these separate 35 different silos,
right,
but we really cooperate with each other. And I think what you're seeing with these sort of newer generation, kind of starting with Stuart Welch on, mayors and councilors and, county commissioners and the Jefferson County Mayors Association. I mean, I think you're starting to see, we know it. if we can work together, what we can do for this region, I think is really powerful. And so, yes, it's weird, but also it makes perfect sense. I just can't describe it any other way. It is so weird sometimes. I still can't believe it. My son the other day asked me the funniest question. He is a recent college graduate, and I had been with Mayor Woodfin for something, and I mentioned it, and he said, "Is he our mayor?" And I went, "No, John, I'm your mayor." He was like, "Well, I know that, but I mean, is he like mayor of everything?" And I was like, "No." Anyway, that was kind of a funny little story. No, John, I'm your mayor. Your mom's your mayor.
That's funny. Oh gosh. You throw me off just for a second. Hey, so really quick, for those listening out there to talk radio that's not familiar, talk just a second. Explain to the folks out there what Leadership Birmingham is about.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Leadership Birmingham takes sort of a group of executives, government officials, and nonprofit leaders from across the county and puts them in a 12-month program where they start with an opening retreat, and you kind of do a deep dive into some of the challenges that you think you see, in the Birmingham area. And then you break off into small groups and you work on a small group project through the whole year. And then you show up one day a month, and it's a 12-hour day. It is intense as all get out. You are exhausted by the end of that day, but you really deep dive into all of the different sort of facets of what it means to live in Birmingham, Alabama. So they always start with education, and then they do economic development. They do a government day. They do a quality of life day. We actually had to miss that because of COVID. Usually they go to Bottega or something awesome like that. We didn't get to do that. But my favorite day was, I think it was called Community Day. But we started. We went to sort of different religious institutions around town. We went to the 16th Street Baptist Church. We went to the Civil Rights Institute across the street. We went to the temple down in 5 Point South. We went out to the mosque in Hoover. And we just learned, different things about different communities that live in our area that we serve. And that day was so powerful to me because we heard directly from Janice Kelsey, who had been at Kelly Ingram Park and had been arrested the days of, back in the civil rights, protests. And she's the most delightful, sweetest woman, and just to hear her, the story, but to really hear it. But the way it works throughout the years, it really ties everything together. Like, you learn the history of our area, why we exist. We exist because there was a railroad crossroad. We were post-Civil War, so we're not on the river. We're not, on a port. We are at a railroad crossing, and then they found this iron ore that comes out of the mountain. And I'm on the Jefferson County Greenways Commission, so we manage Red Mountain Park. So to learn, we all live here. We live here in this area because of that mountain. Like that is the whole reason we live here. But then you learn about, the steel industry, and we've always been some sort of subsidiary. We've been owned outside of the Birmingham area and the challenges that faces. I mean, it's really an incredible way to tie everything together. The best thing to come out of the whole thing, though, is the relationships that you build because you were in that class forever. So you forever have reunions. You are always invited to any Leadership Birmingham event, and then you meet people from across different classes, and then there's the whole joke about the best class ever. Everyone's got that joke, but it's an extraordinary experience. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. I think that's super. Okay, so we're talking with the mayor of Hoover. Mayor Homewood. Excuse me, Jennifer. I have 100-hour weeks. I'm exhausted by this time.
I understand.
All right, we're talking with the mayor of Homewood. I apologize.
That's fine. You're fine.
So Homewood is celebrating their 100-year anniversary this year.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that and what significant events have Homewood done to celebrate that anniversary?
Again, it's just so cool. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be the mayor during the centennial celebration. I just really can't believe I get to be this lucky. But so our actual anniversary is in October, so we're really kind of building up towards October. But so far, we've had a just art display in our City Hall gallery. We had a Homewood Authors Night at the Homewood Library, just kind of some small build-up things. We just launched a 100-year tour. So if you go on our website, you can find all the homes that were built in 1926.
Yeah.
They're marked with markers, and you can find them on the map on the city website and go kind of take a tour of some of the homes that were built. So leading into the fall, we've got a big gala on October the 15th. It's going to benefit our Sims Garden, which is just this delightful little kind of paradise pocket over in the middle of very dense Edgewood. And I would be remiss if I did not say we have sponsorship opportunities. Our director of the gala would kill me if I didn't say that. We have a picnic, a citywide picnic that's going to be on October the 17th. We're going to have a film festival earlier in September on a Sunday afternoon at Patriot Park. And then I just found out, which I'm super excited about, from Representative Gary Palmer. I spoke with him earlier this week, told him his first home, he and his wife's first home was actually in Edgewood. And so we were chatting, and I said, do y'all do anything? Is there anything that you all do up in Washington, D.C. to sort of recognize a community that's been out there for 100 years? And he said, yes, we can pass, a resolution from the floor. And he said, would you like for us to fly a flag over the Capitol in your honor? I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely. And I want you to come back and present it to us at one of these events. So that is breaking news. And I'm just super excited about that. I communicated with his office today with our resolution. And so stay tuned for more information on that. But we got a lot going on.
Well, that's great. Broke a little news today.
Yep, that is some breaking news.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the old Brookwood Mall.
Oh, yeah.
And, I was running yesterday,
Yep.
and they're really tearing it down now.
Yeah.
And so what's the plan for that? Where are we going?
Yep.
And where are we on that?
So great question. So the way this has sort of transpired is Andrews started first, and they actually bought that property, and so they are building. You can see that's very much underway. So if you were standing at the old mall and you were standing at the main entrance and you kind of cut that down the middle and went to the right, all of that is going to be Andrews or Andrews affiliated medical retail. So maybe some office space or anything of that nature. That's all been approved by Planning Commission and the council, and that is all moving forward. Going the other way, nothing has come to any city or county. So the way that works is, if you remember the old mall, if you were standing, let's say, with your back to Macy's at the door of Macy's, inside the mall, and you took your arm and you went off this way to the left, from there back is Mountain Brook.
Right.
And everything in front of you is Homewood. And then there's a little pocket of unincorporated Jefferson County. So we, the Homewood City Council and the Mountain Brook City Council have both passed resolutions just committing to work together to make sure that any plan that comes to both of us, benefits us the same, taxes us the same, that, any emergency operation, anything like that, we share. And so we haven't codified that yet. It's not, that we don't know what that looks like yet, but that's where we are. And so they haven't come, they being the builders, the developers, Fairways, they haven't brought anything to either entity. So that's kind of where we are right now. So we're just waiting to hear from them. We're waiting to sort of see what our, cooperative agreement is going to look like, look like a cooperative district kind of thing.
Right.
The thing again about Birmingham is we have all these different municipal lines with 35 different municipalities. But Graham and Mountain Brook and I and the Homewood in Birmingham, we've all worked together on this Hollywood Boulevard Bridge project because of all the jurisdictions there. So we're real comfortable doing that. And so we're just kind of waiting to see what comes to us. And then again, we're all committed to making sure that what we do is what's a benefit for everybody regionally, not just, we're not there just to say, this can only benefit Homewood. It's a regional piece of property, and we need to work together to make sure we get the best property we can get, best project we can get.
Yeah, I would like to see some mixed use there, maybe some restaurants back. When I used to do Sunday marathon training, and we would go through that area on Sunday mornings. Now I guess Andrews Sports Medicine can just put up a billboard outside for the runners and say, when you need knee surgery, just stop by.
Exactly. Come on in, stop by. That's
all right. We're talking with the mayor of Homewood, Jennifer
Andress.
And we're going to go to News and Weather. We'll be back. I got lots of questions for her. She's a rock star, and she is the ambassador of Homewood. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather.
Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. What sets us apart from other real estate brokerages? Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham is a full-service real estate brokerage that can significantly reduce the amount you pay to sell your home. There are no high commission fees here. Our brokerage was established right here in Birmingham over 10 years ago, and they remain locally owned and operated. Here you will find agents with over 50 years of combined service and experience, and with excellent performance, whether listing or buying with us. We are there with you every step of the way so you feel confident you've made the right decision when it comes to your home. Give us a call today, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. You know, here on the Legal Lowdown, we talk a lot about protecting what's yours. So let me tell you about the folks I trust to do exactly that around your home. Shelby Fence Company. For over 30 years, this is the name the Birmingham metro area has trusted for fence installation and repair, done right the first time. They do wood, aluminum, chain link, even agricultural fencing, both residential or commercial. They design it to fit your property. They build it with quality materials to stand up to Alabama weather, and they show you when they show up on time. They even remove and replace. Their crews are professional. The workmanship speaks for itself. So whether you're putting up a brand new fence or fixing the one that you've got, call the team I trust, Shelby Fence Company, at 205-664-1551, or you can find them at shelbyfencecompany.com. Tell them Joe sent you.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts specializing in criminal defense and family law. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. And now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
All right, we're back for the second segment of the first hour of Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer on WERC 105.5 in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR Tuscaloosa. We are having a fabulous conversation with the mayor of Homewood, Jennifer Andress.
Woo, you did it.
I did it right because she prompted me during the break about 25 times, and John's sitting here staring at me going, Joe, I'm going to hit you over the head with a hammer if you don't get it right one time. I'm really stupid, Jennifer.
No. I know. My husband's a lawyer. I know you you put so much brain power into what you do, when you're practicing law. I understand it.
Well, thank you. Okay, so we have to talk about the Piggly Wiggly site.
Yes.
I'm watching the progress as I go by every week, and you just informed me during the break. The old days, the storefront was facing Highway 31.
Correct.
So explain for the audience how it's going to look, and my big thing to you was, Jennifer, there's no parking. There's no parking.
So the store is turning 90 degrees. So the front door is going to face the CVS.
Okay.
And right in front, there'll be parking spaces right in the new front, right? And then to your right, there's a huge empty lot that's been back there. You just didn't know it was back there. And so that's where the main parking is going to be. But there will be parking spaces up front, too. A main thing that happened was, this allowed them, they're adding about, I think, 10,000 or 15,000 square feet.
Wow.
And so I used to know the number off the top of my head. I apologize. And then they also, the silver that you see on top of the roof, that is just decking, because we've had some folks mention, hey, that's blinding. And we're like, that's just decking. So shingles are coming. So that's not, if you're coming down from 31, that's kind of been bright. And then we are doing a tunnel project. What we're really excited about is the way that they took our community into consideration, because we have so many families that go and wait for their kids on the other side of the tunnel. And so they're adding green space for them there and seating, which is so nice because it just used to be a side parking lot. And then we are doing a beautification project on that tunnel, which as a runner, I know you've been through that tunnel many times, but you're going to see that kind of stacked stone entrance like you see in all of our parks. And so it's really going to tie in, and it's just going to be a really lovely project. And that should be done by the time school starts. The tunnel should reopen.
Okay. Do you know the time frame on the completion of the pig?
Should be the fall. Yeah, it was originally going to be August, but I think we're looking at the fall now. I don't know exactly when, but that's what they're saying now is the fall. So yeah, and I think they're doing a little facelift at Cameron's Corner too. So Cameron's Corner is owned by the same folks, and that's where the old UPS store was, and the dog spa. And the do-it-yourself crafts is all right there, and Hunter's Cleaners. Anyway, I think they're getting a facelift, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like as well.
Well, that'll be good for the shopping Christmas time for the pig to be back.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. I drive by there all the time.
I know. So we got to talk about this for a second. Savage's Bakery.
Yeah.
Okay. So, don't want to get too much into it, but there was a family lawsuit, and the father of the owner said, hey, I'm going to shut down back. I think it was March or April. I think it was March. And so everybody panicked that last week. Yeah. I really think they did this for money because my wife said, Joe, I want you to go by Savage's one day and get some cookies because they're closing Savage's. Well, I get there after I left court about 11 o'clock, and the line was down the street.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I literally stood in line for 3.5 hours for a bag of cookies.
I believe you.
And John, sure enough, after they closed the store 2 weeks later, it reopened magically.
New ownership.
Now,
yeah, exactly.
I'm glad Savage's is back.
We are too.
I mean, I'm sure you were inundated. People were out there crying on the street like they'd never seen another. John, you'd think they were selling heroin in Savage's, but they were selling sugar.
Cookies.
Yeah.
It just as addictive.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I heard that someone had driven up maybe from Mobile. So I know they are very beloved and a Homewood institution. And what I love about this story, and I don't know anybody personally in this story, so I don't know anything, but what I love about it is the guy that actually purchased O'Cars, which is also a very long-time beloved Homewood institution. Yeah. He's the one who stepped in and bought Savage's. So I love that he has stepped up and immediately injected himself into Homewood by buying two of our most beloved institutions. And I love me a chicken salad plate from O'Cars. So I love still being able to go in there. So,
well, the thing about Savage's for me is, Christmas time, all I can think about is my little cookies, my Christmas cookies. And I stand at the window still as a 50-year-old man, slobbering on the glass. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so let's talk about some other news in Homewood. And we talk a lot about this on this show, Jennifer. Data centers.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a big subject everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. Am I correct that that the old Barber dairy building, is that part of Homewood, or
Yes,
that's the Homewood
Yes.
Industrial Park?
Correct. Yeah.
Wasn't that purchased about a couple of weeks ago? I saw it in the news for a data center.
No. And I'm not even sure that it was purchased, but we have a moratorium in place that we passed back in June. So no data centers for at least 12 months while we kind of work through zoning, because we have no, the issue is that there are so many cities that our zoning codes aren't to date with what's going on technologically. So, for example, if they were to come in, they would just come in under, light industrial zoning, and we would have no way to sort of monitor that or sort of control our. I don't use the word police, but we were just sort of wide open, exposed. And so, we kind of watched what happened in Birmingham, and we were like, we need to get something on the books, and we can't do that. We need to put a moratorium in place while our attorneys go through and look at best practices and look at what's going on across the country. Now, I understand that AI is here. I get it. I met with Representative Palmer this week and learned a lot about other uses outside of what we just think of as AI. I mean, he's talking about medical research. He's talking about things that could speed up years, finding a cure for cancer. I mean, being able to go through modeling that we could never do just without it. So I get that AI is not going anywhere. But I know that there's a real concern about the energy drain, about the water drain, about neighborhood, impacts. And so in order to really make sure we're on top of this, we put a moratorium in place in June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this falls into the category of Birmingham, but it's right on the door of Homewood.
Yeah, it is.
So there was I believe there was a swath of land. I think it's roughly 79 acres over there near Wildwood.
Yes, it's past Red Mountain Park.
Yeah,
it is past Red Mountain Park.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And they were wanting to put a data center there.
They are putting a data center there. It is under construction.
Yes. And that was a big fight down there with the city of Birmingham.
Yes.
A
couple lawsuits going on right now.
Yeah, I think we did that story maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it all runs together.
Yeah.
For me, we didn't start talking about data centers until the primaries. I had Matt Gentry on, who's going to be on the Public Service Commission, probably come January of 27. And that's when we really started talking about data centers. What do you hear from citizens? Are they real concerned about that?
Yes,
are people
extremely.
informed yet? Because I believe there's a big disconnect between citizens and understanding what we are all going to be buying. Because once they build this and put this up, it's not like you're just going to take it down.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. We had a lot of people reach out during that whole, I paid real close attention to what was going on. The data center is named Nebius, the company that's putting that there. And I've paid super close attention to that because it is on our doorstep. I mean, it's on the other side of Red Mountain Park. But, that whole corridor is really, and we're building our diverging diamond at I-65. I mean, that whole corridor is really growing in from Homewood through Birmingham, through a little bit of Hoover out into Bessemer. And so Nebius is going right in the middle of all that. And there are several housing developments over there. There's a new housing development going in right now just between Red Mountain Park and it. And, I listened to the public hearing. I mean, in Birmingham, it went on for 3.5 hours, and I had it on at my desk while I was working at my other job. So I could hear what everybody's concerns were. And, there were a lot of things that we need to take into consideration. And, folks say, well, Homewood doesn't have the land for it, but you don't know who can come in and buy up parcels to put everything together to make something, and there are they're large scales and then they're micro scales. They're different scales. And until we really understand the impact environmentally and with water usage and power usage, we just can't expose our citizens to that. So we needed to take a pause to make sure we're taking everything into consideration. So yes, we heard from many, many, many people that were very concerned.
Yeah. I'm all for keeping up with technology. I absolutely do not want to fall behind China in any way or anything like that.
That's right.
I'm just, as a citizen, and I try to inform people, I've heard it from a number of candidates all over the state that data centers are, they want to come here. We have lots of open land. They have money. And when they throw money at municipalities or counties or whatever organization it is, people go, hey, there's one down in South Alabama where it's going to be $6 to $8 billion. Who's going to turn down $6 billion over 20 years or something? I just think we got to have the right people asking the serious questions of what are we really getting out of this? I understand we need it. Southern Company's going to do really well selling power. They take an awful lot of water. And we get a lot of revenue, but it doesn't really employ people once you input it up.
That's exactly right.
And then my big thing, Jennifer, is I've discussed this with a lot of people. It's like all the big shopping malls. You can drive down 280 and see these big box stores that we don't need anymore.
That's right.
Well, in 20 years, with technology coming, are we going to need 79 acres for that data center?
Right, exactly.
Or will technology improve so much that you can do it with a much smaller footprint than what you got? Yeah. And so I'm not trying to get on my little soapbox, although I am. That's my concern.
For sure.
And I want the right people, not me, because I'm stupid. I want the right people asking the questions of knowing what are we getting out of this. You know?
And once it's there, like you said, it's there.
Yeah.
Once you've sold the quality of life that your citizens have away, it's gone forever. You're not going to get that back. And so that is something that's so important to the folks who live in Homewood. We've heard that loud and clear. We did a citizen survey earlier this year. We're working through our comprehensive planning right now to put together a zoning, land use map. And that if anything comes out loud and clear, it's the quality of life in Homewood needs to be protected at all costs. And so, like you said, what is the trade off? And I think it's something that needs to be looked at holistically for the whole state. Yes, I understand there are states that are, New York, I think, has a statewide moratorium. Great. Okay. But let's look at it as a state as a whole. And I won't I'm not going to quote anybody. I know there's a mayor in the area. I'm not going to say who it is, and you won't be able to guess who it is. Because I didn't hear this directly, but I know that person said, great, bring me the data centers. I want the data centers. So I get it. I understand why it looks, like it could be a really good answer for a community that, for revenue's sake. But for us, I think the most important thing where we live is, just protecting that quality of life because, again, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. So you just touched on just a second, the next thing we're going to talk about, the on the I-65 by Wildwood.
Diverging Diamond, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Explain that.
Yes.
And explain the importance of the listeners out there of what we're getting out of that.
Yeah. So we this project has been, these things take a really long time. And this project I've been around 10 years and it preceded me. So it's finally coming to fruition. It should open, I believe, in 2028. And the idea behind the Diverging Diamond interchange design is that there are no left turns. So you're not turning left against traffic, and it's a safety issue. It improves safety at the intersection. The very first one in the state is down in Mobile. I've been on it before. And then I know they're building one right now off 459 headed towards McCalla. I think, is that right? I can't remember exactly which exit it is. And so the really important thing for us, Walmart and Sam's and Wildwood really is coming along too, is a huge part of our economy. Walmart is a huge part of our economy. And so this is going to make people get to Walmart more efficiently, safer, and it's going to be, when people leave, it's going to be safer. And so you're not going to come off of there and try to cut across 4 lanes of traffic to turn left into Walmart. It's going to be a lot easier. And so this is something that we're really happy to do for them as well, to keep them happily ensconced in Homewood. So, so we should see that in 2028. But we're really excited. We thank LDOT profusely for this. It's a great opportunity.
It's going to take us to 28 to get that finished?
I think so. I think that's what I heard the other day. I saw Alabama Aerial Photography did a whole sort of drone overflow or flyover, and they said, I think they quoted it as 2027, and Aldott came on there and corrected them and said 2028. So it's underway right now. And they are, to be honest, they're moving quicker than had planned. So maybe it'll be sooner. But you know what? It's almost 8 months into 2026. So the time flies.
Yeah. Is that because, I guess, for those of us that travel in that area at different times, the backup of the traffic from one side of getting over the 65 over 65 loop to get to the Wildwood area? Is that what it's trying to do, is to relieve that congestion?
Yeah, because you could get, again, if you're coming off of I-65 headed southbound and you're trying to go 4 lanes over to get into, quickly over to there, I'm not picturing it right in my mind right now, but the idea is no left turns, the lights are, they'll eliminate the lights. And so it's going to be, from what I understand, when you're doing it, and I did it in Mobile, it's been a while, but you're kind of like, am I doing this right? You feel like it's weird at first, but it's kind of like the roundabouts, people get used to it. Those roundabouts, that people are accepting of those now. So I think it's kind of like that. You get used to it and you can do it.
Yeah. I equate that to when you're going on 459 and you're going to get off to go towards 280.
Yeah, that's right.
And for a long time, we could not take a left to go back towards the summit. Everybody had to go right. And they finally put that little cut-in road in.
That's right.
And so now we can go back over 280 to get up to the summit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought, this is genius. Why? But you know what?
Engineering.
Huntsville has better road construction because
Yeah.
of all the engineers.
All the
up
smart
there.
people up there. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, and I sit around and you drive around Birmingham thinking, why do we do some of the things we do? I don't know, but I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your great project that's fixing to have a probably ribbon cutting this week about the crosswalk for the runners.
Yes, I think Graham and I'll go out there with a shovel ourselves on Monday. But yes. Okay, so this project is going to add a turn lane. It's going to add an additional lane onto Hollywood Boulevard eventually. That's phase 2. Right now, on Monday, phase 1 breaks ground, and that's going to be a sidewalk from Malaga, which is that first sort of stop sign in Homewood, on the cemetery side of that road, and there'll be a little bit of a road widening. And then it's going to go up to where the bridge is, and then it'll pick up again on the other side of that parking lot and go down into Mountain Brook. So we're doing sidewalks on both sides. There's already a sidewalk coming up to, I think, maybe where that rug store is. So it'll add on to that. And we've met with everybody in the area. We've met with Shannon Walchek because they own that property where the Mexico Lindo is.
Yeah.
We've met with Union Cemetery. And so we've worked out some, we worked on some drainage issues for them. We're doing a little bit of maintenance for them on that side of the fence. And so they're good with everything. I mean, it's really been a very heavily cooperative project with so many people at the table. So the county has just been absolutely instrumental. We could not have done this without the county. All of our elected officials, all of our state representatives and state senators have all put in discretionary funds over the course of the last, 8 or 10 years. Senator Katie Britt was the final piece of the puzzle, and we could not have done this without her. And so she had given us some discretionary, she had given us some funding from THUD, which is transportation, and we got that in January. And then we've had things over the course of the last almost 10 years, like COVID shut down. The county shut down for a year and a half and didn't do any project that wasn't essential. We had government shutdowns where we found out last summer we had gotten the appropriations from Senator Britt, but then the government shut down, and so we didn't get it again until the end of January. So it's been a journey. We have all the people at the table, every city, Birmingham, Mountain Brook, Homewood, every state representative, state senator. I met with Scott Ortiz the other day. He's our new state senator there. I'm like, here's the project coming. You're going to be cutting a ribbon on this. So it's just been a really very collaborative project, and I'm really proud of the work that everybody's put in. We would not be here without the county, and we would not be here without Senator Britt. And then also thank you so much to ALDOT, of course.
All right. We're talking with the mayor of Homewood. Jennifer, I got about 5 minutes with you left, so I got a couple quick fire questions. So if you're a runner and you run on Lakeshore, down the Lakeshore, what do they call it?
Chase Creek
Greenway.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So Jennifer, when I have my choice, well, I do have my choice now. When they redid Jemison for a while, I had to run Lakeshore. Mm-hmm. I don't like running Lakeshore, Jennifer. Mm-hmm. And here's why. And I get to fuss at you.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Homewood keep a little bit better cut and the upkeep of the natural areas?
Yeah.
I'm not fussing at you.
Yeah, sure. I understand. Yeah, exactly.
I don't like to run Lakeshore.
Yeah.
Explain it to me.
Well, have you run on our new section, by the way, from Green Springs out to towards Birmingham, towards Wildwood? Have you been on that section?
I have not.
I would invite you to go. It's just gorgeous, and it really is. You don't even know you run under I-65. It's amazing. It's absolutely stunning, and the wildlife out there is really beautiful. I have been on that trail for 3 to 4 times a week, every single week for the last 20 years. So I know that trail like I could close my eyes and maneuver it right now. But certainly, my other job is I work at the Freshwater Land Trust, and we build the Red Rock Trail System. And I just had this conversation yesterday with one of our engineers. Certainly maintenance is always an issue. So, looking at it from the Freshwater Land Trust side, when we put a trail in, working with the municipalities or the county or whomever, who is going to be maintaining this trail. So definitely it is a challenge. We definitely, do our best, and certainly let us know if there's there's something specific, but that Jefferson Trail is gorgeous. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. I know it is. So I love it too. I run on it every week as well.
It's
beautiful.
That's my daily ride.
Yep.
And then the thing about Lakeshore is under that
Yeah,
the bypass.
the
flooding
yeah,
area.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
why.
So it is it's actually designed to do that because that is a floodplain, and so it is actually designed. It does take the overflow. It is actually designed to do that. And then if it's going to rain again the next day, then they may not come out and clear it right away. Yeah. I will tell you, they were out in force yesterday clearing, kind of right where the target is. That's gotten a little shabby over there, so we were working on that. But I certainly, Jefferson's beautiful as well. I do love it so much there.
So we were talking before the show, races.
Yeah.
And you said you may talk a little bit about, we lost the Mercedes Marathon. What's the scoop on a marathon coming back?
So the aforementioned Paul DeMarco came to me and Graham a year or so ago and said, let's try to do something, in Homewood, Mountain Brook at that scale. That Birmingham has lost a really seminal, weekend event opportunity to bring in people from across the country to run a really grade A race in Alabama. There's a great one in Huntsville. There is one in Birmingham, but it was not on the scale of the Mercedes. Nothing will replace Mercedes. Yeah. Mercedes was just the best. And Jeff Martinez, one of the owners of the Track Shack, is one of my dearest friends. And so, you cannot talk about running in the city of Birmingham or Homewood without talking to Jeff Martinez. So we brought Jeff on board, and we started meeting with Gene Hallman. And so we're having those conversations now. Now, what is it going to look like? I don't know. I talked about running over the mountain. That is a challenge for people if you're trying to get the casual runner and running over that mountain. Look, I don't like running over that mountain either, and I'm not a casual runner. And so it may not look like what we thought it was going to look like when we first started having these conversations, but we are having those conversations, and we're hoping maybe to put something out there in February. If not, it will be the next February, but because we'll want to stay on that same old weekend back in mid-February. So we are. The conversations are being had. The right people are at the table, and we all know that we miss it greatly. We really do.
Yeah. It's an opportunity when we had the Mercedes Marathon to showcase Birmingham.
For sure.
People were coming here to win the Mercedes.
Yeah.
But it was really a time to show off what we have. Yeah. And I loved it.
Yeah, same. It was a special time. And, going all the way back to when you mentioned Scott earlier, Scott Strand running, and when it was the marathon trials. I mean, what an opportunity. I was kind of getting into the running community at that time, but just what an incredible opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, well, Jennifer, our time is about up, and it's been a wonderful interview. And I wish you well as the mayor of Homewood. I know you're going to do great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and come see us in Homewood anytime.
All right, we'll be back after the top hour of News and Weather. Thank you. We'll be back.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather.
Here on The Legal Lowdown, we talk a lot about protecting what's yours. So let me tell you about the folks I trust to do exactly that around your home. Shelby Fence Company. For over 30 years, this is the name the Birmingham metro area has trusted for fence installation and repair, done right the first time. They do wood, aluminum, chain link, even agricultural fencing, both residential or commercial. They design it to fit your property. They build it with quality materials to stand up to Alabama weather, and they show you when they show up on time. They even remove and replace. Their crews are professional. The workmanship speaks for itself. So whether you're putting up a brand new fence or fixing the one that you've got, Call the team I trust, Shelby Fence Company, at 205-664-1551, or you can find them at shelbyfencecompany.com. Tell them Joe sent you. Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. What sets us apart from other real estate brokerages? Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham is a full-service real estate brokerage that can significantly reduce the amount you pay to sell your home. There are no high commission fees here. Our brokerage was established right here in Birmingham over 10 years ago, and they remain locally owned and operated. Here you will find agents with over 50 years of combined service and experience, and with excellent performance, whether listing or buying with us. We are there with you every step of the way, so you feel confident you've made the right decision when it comes to your home. Give us a call today, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts specializing in criminal defense and family law. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. And now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
All right, we're back for the second hour of The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer, on WERC 105.5 in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR in Tuscaloosa. If you missed the first hour, you just missed a great interview with the mayor of Homewood, Jennifer Andress. Andress. Why is it so hard? It's kind of like you say tomato, I say tomato, or something like that. Anyway, thank you for that interview, Jennifer. Next week, we have Amy Atkin in the studio. She is a candidate running for the 2nd Congressional District for that seat that's been redrawn. She's going to be running on the Republican side of the ticket. You will want to listen in for that interview. She's going to be a great guest, so you don't want to miss that. As always, we want to thank our sponsors of our show. You can listen to my podcast on Apple, Spotify, even my YouTube channel, joeingramlaw.com. If you need legal representation, you can call my office, 205-825-5297, 205-825-5297. Or you can look us up on the web, joeingramlaw.com. Joeingramlaw.com is all you need to know. And always, if you have a case, better call Joe. If you have a case, better call Joe. Sponsors of our show, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham is a full-service real estate brokerage that can significantly reduce the amount you pay to sell your home. There are no high commission fees here. Their brokerage was established right here in Birmingham 10 years ago, and they remain locally owned and operated. Here you will find agents with over 50 years of combined experience and excellent performance. Whether listing or buying with them, they're with you every step of the way, so you will feel confident you've made the right decision when it comes time to selling your home. Give them a call today, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. And also, we're so proud to announce to you Shelby Fence Company. Shelby Fence Company of Birmingham has over 30 years of experience of installation and repair across the greater Birmingham metro area. You can call them at 205-664-1551, 205-664-1551, or you can check them out, shelbyfencecompany.com. And also you can see their commercials on my YouTube channel for the show if you watch the video podcast during the news and weather segments. Okay, it is the second hour of the show. We're going to talk about some national and state legal news this week. And we've got to start back with where we left off last week. Uh, we've got to start off with the socialist of America. That's the communism is here, and so last week, Shannon Bream of Fox News, her Sunday talk show, she had a guest on her show from the National Democratic Socialist Party of America. Pay attention, folks, because after this last week, they're not hiding. They're telling you exactly what they want to do. Democrats are worried that circulated comments from the Democratic Socialists of America leader that outlined the group's priorities could come back and bite them in the rear end from Republican attacks for the midterm elections that they thought they all had in the bag. The moderate Democrats are really upset about Megan Romer. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She was on Fox News last Sunday with Shannon Bream. And so Shannon said, let's do a lightning round and let me ask you some questions. And these are the questions that she asked her about the organization's platform. And she said, just answer true or false to these questions, including abolishing the Senate as a long-term goal and getting rid of prisons. She said true. Doing away with the presidency. She said true. They want to get rid of the Supreme Court. She said true. That moment in time has really circulated in the last week, and Democrats are terrified this week that it's going to come back on them. They want to replace the presidency, the Supreme Court, as we know them. They want to do away with immigration and customs. They want to abolish borders, give amnesty to anybody who is here illegally in the country as a long-term plan. And they want to defund, are you ready for this? They want to defund the Pentagon, our military. Can you believe this? They are actually saying this. John Morgan, a prominent Democratic lawyer this week, spoke at a fundraiser, and he predicted that Republicans would use these in attack ads for the midterm elections. Well, yeah, and he called it's Cuba. Quote, it's Venezuela. He gave a report to The Hill on Tuesday. They believe that this is a utopian state that they can survive. But Morgan said that independents would be turned off by that kind of platform. You think? You think you'd be just a little bit turned off about getting away with the president, do away with the Senate, let's get rid of the Supreme Court. Oh, we don't need any prisons. We don't need any police. We don't even need a military to protect our country anymore. This is everything that we've built. You want to get rid of all of it. You think that's going to work? I hope not. Anyway, he went on to add, quote, the crazy thing is we built this democracy, and I've been saying this forever, based on capitalism and all the freedoms. We built the most impressive government in the country in the history of the world until this point. And now we're talking about dismantling it all, quote unquote, according to Morgan. This is crazy talk. This is lunacy. If you are not really in the news and you're not listening to this stuff, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. Man, these people are serious. And roughly 16 to 20 of these idiots may win national races. My goodness. This last week, James Carville, I talked about him last week. He has a big podcast. He is beside himself. He said, if this is what we've signed up for, I want out of the Democratic Party. Why can't they change their name? Why do they call themselves Democratic Socialist? Just call yourself the Communist Party. That's what you are. Whew, man. And then this week, it came out that that the candidate for the Wisconsin governor race, are you ready for this? Her name is, well, first of all, let me talk about what Carville. Carville says one Democratic socialist lunacy of the highest level policy could haunt the swing state Democrats. See, he's worried about the numbers in Congress. He wants to get control of Congress, and he wants to get control of the Senate. He's worried all this crazy talk is going to hurt their elections, and I hope people are waking up and listening out there. Carver warned that Democratic Socialist, appropriate Democrat, is like the rebirth of North Korea. Yeah, it is. Oh, my goodness. James Carville warned Thursday that far-left candidates winning elections are a liability for the party on a national level. You think? Maybe just a little bit. A wave of Democratic Socialist candidates winning Democratic primaries in New York City. This guy, Al Said, is highly competitive up in the Michigan Senate race. The Francesca Hong that I talked about, the governor race up in Wisconsin, she is way far left. She has made some comments that are coming home to bite her now. She is fully on board for everything they want to do. She wants to get away of police. She wants to get away with prisons. She wants to get rid of ICE. She wants to create amnesty for anybody that's here. These people are in Looney Town. I don't know where they came from, and I don't know why they're here. And so, I was thinking this week, if these people get elected, knowing how they feel, all right, you want to get rid of our government, our foundation of our government as it stands today. That's what you're telling us you want to do. Okay? Well, if you get elected, you have to take an oath of office. And so I got to thinking about this for a second. Here is the oath that you generally take for a congressman or a senator. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Let me say that again. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, the Constitution. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office of which I'm about to enter, so help me God. So they're going to take an oath, pledging their allegiance to the Constitution and to defending our way of life, knowing that they're telling you they want to destroy the Constitution as it stands, as it's written. Article 2, Article 3, Article 1, Article 4, Article 5, Article 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which are called the Bill of Rights. That is what they want to destroy. If that does not scare you, and I am not talking about the sky is falling, I'm telling you, if that does not scare you, I don't know what will. These people have made comments that we deserved 9/11. We did it to ourselves. You know what? The greatest democracies that's ever been built, Rome, killed itself from within. We're going to do it to ourselves again if we are not careful. I just hope people wake up. I really do. I'm really concerned about this. I'm telling you, this whole issue of these socialist communists that want to do away with everything and everything's going to be free. And they've even said that the government is going to own corporations that are on the stock exchange. Are you kidding me? We're going to take publicly traded companies away from the stockholders and the shareholders, and we're going to give them to the government, and everybody's going to own them, and everybody's going to get a percentage of it. No, that does not how capitalism works. If you really, really love this country, you need to stand up right now and take a stand, because the moderates in D.C., people like Chuck Schumer and the House of Representatives leader, what's his name, Jeffries, they're not coming forward and saying, you know, we don't agree with any of this crazy talk. This is not what we want to do. They're not saying that. What does that tell you? They just want to appease everybody they can to get as many votes as they can to get back in power. That's all they care about. Where is their allegiance? Is their allegiance to the United States, to the Constitution, to the way of life we have? Or is it just to have power? It's just to have power for them. That's all it is. It's just to have power. Okay. There was a big story this week. It just came out Thursday. There was a father who had given his son an AR-15 in Georgia, and the young man was a school shooter. And the father was sentenced this week for the first of its kind of a murder conviction. Prosecutors argued that Colin Gray ignored his son's deteriorating mental health and issues and gave him access to a gun, an AR-15. Colin Gray, the father of the Appalachia High School shooter known as Colt Gray, was sentenced Thursday in court over in Atlanta to 15 years in prison, and the judge scolded him, and he rightfully should. He said that he had failed as a parent by ignoring the warning signs of the child for the 2024 school massacre. The young man that committed the mass murder, he pled guilty to all 55 counts, and he got life in prison without parole. He's a juvenile, and he's never going to see the light of day for a crime that he committed, and he should. He should be in prison for the rest of his life. The problem here for me is that the father did not see the warning signs for his child and his mental health issues. The judge scolded him and told him that you totally failed as a parent. You didn't see the red lights going off, and that you should have stepped in and done something to help your son. There's been another case like this. I think it was up in, I forget the state, where the boy took the gun to school and both parents got charged with manslaughter, and I think both of them were found guilty as well a couple of years ago. So these are serious issues. When you're a parent, you got to watch your children so that they are not a danger to themselves or the community at large. So that was a major case this week that I wanted to talk about. And so that brings me to something I want to talk a lot about today, about criminal law. We live in a very different time. We live in a very different age. We have cell phones. We have the internet. I grew up, we had none of these things. I'm so fortunate at the time when I grew up. It was so basic. We had 3 TV channels until I was a teenager, and we got cable. And we if you wanted to use a phone, you had a home phone line, or you went and used a pay phone. And if you thought you were really important or somebody, you had a beeper or a pager. Yes, we actually had pagers back in those days. It was a great time to grow up in America. And now we have all this technology. And this is where I'm going with this. All these sex crimes and these sex cases are related to people having so much access to internet. If you have young folks in your family and you're a parent, you have a duty to monitor their phones and their internet searches and what they're looking at. People have access to so much more than we ever had when I was kids. If you wanted to see something pornographic, you had to go to a convenience store and buy a Playboy or something like that. Now, children, all they have to do is Google it, and it's out there, and it's scary. I've had a number of new cases in the last few weeks, and people have looked at stuff either on Twitter or something like that, and then they transmit it through an app called Snapchat. A lot of young people like to use that, and they think that it goes away right after they send the message. Well, no, it doesn't. It's still there. The digital fingerprints, if you will, are still there of what was transmitted. And so as we get ready to embark upon a new school year and parents, your kids get phones and things of this nature, please be hyper vigilant in monitoring their phones and their cell phone activity. I had a young man about 2 years ago that teenagers are going through puberty and all these changes of life, and they're hyper sex now more than they've ever been. And they were submitting images and photos through Snapchat and all these things. And then it became a criminal case. And then he ended up in the justice system. And then it became a juvenile case. So I'm just asking you to really pay attention. And then that leads me to my next point that I always talk about to mostly men. If you are a male and you start dating a female that has children, and you start living together, or you get remarried with another person and they have young children, they may not like you. You have to be very careful. If a child makes an allegation against you in any way that you have sexually hurt this child or harmed this child, the police, the DHR, they have a duty to investigate these claims. They're going to call them in. They're going to look at every case seriously. They're going to interview them. Here in Jefferson County, we use the Prescott House to do interviews. And if they find any reason to believe that there's merit that you have committed a sexual crime or offense, you are going to be charged in state court. And here is where I'm going with this. And even if you are totally innocent, and a child makes a allegation against you, and you get arrested, you may lose your job. More than likely, you will lose your job. You're going to be crucified on social media, Facebook, Instagram. It may affect where you live. It may even affect if you get out and can defend yourself on bond while the case is pending. Under Aniah's law, they may hold you until the case is over. I had a case this week where somebody's being held in jail and they can't get out and make a bond to defend themselves. So you got to be very careful when you're around young folks, and it doesn't even have to be when you live with them. If you are a coach, if you are a sponsor of cheerleaders or volleyball players or whatever the activity is, Boy Scouts, you put yourself in these positions to be around young folks and kids. You've got to protect yourself at all costs. You can't be their friend. You have to be the adult in the room. Don't be their friend. Be the adult in the room. You can't be both. There has to be a distinct line to protect you and to protect them. You're not their buddy. You're the adult in the room. I say that to protect yourself. I have a number of these cases right now. It is very important, and it takes a long time to work through these cases after they start. Okay, that segment went really fast. We'll be back after news and weather for the final segment of the week. Go back and listen to the podcast, to the interview with the City of Mayor Homewood, Jennifer Andress. I'll be back.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather.
Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. What sets us apart from other real estate brokerages? Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham is a full-service real estate brokerage that can significantly reduce the amount you pay to sell your home. There are no high commission fees here. Our brokerage was established right here in Birmingham over 10 years ago, and they remain locally owned and operated. Here you will find agents with over 50 years of combined service and experience, and with excellent performance, whether listing or buying with us. We are there with you every step of the way, so you feel confident you've made the right decision when it comes to your home. Give us a call today, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. You know, here on the Legal Lowdown, we talk a lot about protecting what's yours. So let me tell you about the folks I trust to do exactly that around your home. Shelby Fence Company. For over 30 years, this is the name the Birmingham metro area has trusted for fence installation and repair, done right the first time. They do wood, aluminum, chain link, even agricultural fencing, both residential or commercial. They design it to fit your property. They build it with quality materials to stand up to Alabama weather, and they show you when they show up on time. They even remove and replace. Their crews are professional. The workmanship speaks for itself. So whether you're putting up a brand new fence or fixing the one that you've got, call the team I trust, Shelby Fence Company, at 205-664-1551, or you can find them at shelbyfencecompany.com. Tell them Joe sent you.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts specializing in criminal defense and family law. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. And now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
This is The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer on WERC 105.5 in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR in Tuscaloosa. Final segment of the week for us. It's gone by fast today. Okay. Some legal news this week in the state. I saw a report this week where Senator Tommy Tuberville is all about bracing the data centers for the state. In fact, President Trump came out last week and said Alabama really needs to embrace the data centers. It can be a really big source of revenue for Alabama citizens. And I say this as a citizen, not as a conservative. We are being treated like cattle. They are just talking down to us. And I say this as a conservative person that I consider myself a neocon conservative. This issue about the data centers and keeping up with technology, in no way do I want to fall behind as a society to China in any way. I do not. If you heard the interview with the mayor of Homewood, if you've heard me talk for a number of weeks about data centers, this is a huge issue right now, not just in Alabama, but in every state in the union. people are starting to ask the big questions about what are we buying once we put this up? What is the long-term effects of this? It's not just about collecting money. Alabama Power, Southern Company, is going to make a lot of money for selling a lot of power. The water system is going to make a lot of money for selling water to cool this. I saw a report this week, and I have Southern Company stock, so I'm kind of glad in one way. Southern Company made $2.5 billion this quarter. They are already up 14% in profits this year. So I'm great that Southern Company is making a lot of money. It doesn't really affect my stock, and it really doesn't affect my dividend price because they only go up. They raise a penny up every 2 or 3 quarters on my stocks per share. So, it doesn't really affect me that way. But the issue of the data centers, this is the issue that we need to really think about. It is just big rooms of concrete and fiber that uses a lot of water and power. And yes, they're going to buy the land. And yes, they are going to spend a lot of money to build it. And they throw money at you. And they say, well, you're going to get some revenues every year for property taxes and things of that nature. But it doesn't employ a lot of people once they put the facility up. And for Tommy Tuberville, he is about to probably be the next governor of the state of Alabama for all intents and purposes. And here's the issue, and I'm probably going to get crucified for this. Even if he is the governor of Alabama, he's probably not going to be in the state 7 days a week. It'd be real easy to get to Santa Rosa Beach from Montgomery. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump in a plane. And after he finishes 1 or 2 terms as governor, then he'll be on Santa Rosa Boulevard for the rest of his life. He won't be here when all the data centers are put up in our state because we have these pockets of areas. I think Fairfield bought a data center because they needed revenue. Some parts of the state need it more than others because they need money. They need money desperately, and they'll take it however they can get it. This is an issue, and I don't have all the answers, and I don't know all the questions. I'm not smart enough. We need people that are engineers and people that study these issues. We need to be asking the right questions before we put up these huge data centers that take up lots of land. There was another story this week down in Mobile where they're talking about building a multi-billion-dollar data center down in the Mobile area. And it's a roughly $6 billion to $8 billion data center in the Mobile area. Residents were asking lots of questions. They wanted more information. They wanted more guarantees. They want oversight of how this thing is going to be built. And there's another proposal being considered in the Stockton area, which is down in Baldwin County, that has a lot of land. Baldwin County is, I think, landmass-wise, is the biggest county in the state of Alabama. And it goes all the way from the top of the county all the way to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Baldwin County. And the thing about these data centers is once you've built them, it's not like you can just take it down and say, oh, we made a mistake, take it down. No. If you spend $6 billion to $8 billion on a contract to buy something, you're going to be stuck with it for 20 or 30 years, if not longer. And what's all the long-term cost, and what are the repercussions for us? So, I'm a conservative person. I want the best for us as a country. I want to keep up with China. I'm just saying we have got to slow down and start asking the right questions about the data centers. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I really think they've had this planned all along. If you look at what they had intended to do with the Alabama Public Service Commission, how they changed the structure, how the governor's going to get to appoint 4 people to be on the commission now, They have known for a long time what was in place. We are just slow to find out what's going on. Even me, I didn't really realize what was going on. But now I'm getting up to speed of what's happening, and we are late to the race. We are late to the race of what's happening with these data centers. So educate yourself and ask your representatives about what we're getting into with these data centers and the issues and the questions. Is all I would say to you out there that listen to our show. The I guess we have to talk for a second, even though I don't know why. I don't know why they had Anthony Fauci in front of Congress this week. I mean, I don't want to really relive COVID. I just want to forget about it. It's kind of like my grandparents that talked about living through the Great Depression. They talked about it their whole life. It affected their whole life, how they thought living through the Great Depression. People that grew up with polio until they found a vaccine talked about polio. I've lived through a housing crisis. I lived through 9/11. And then I lived through a pandemic. And it affected every aspect of our lives for roughly, 24, 27 months. I don't want to talk about COVID anymore. I don't. And the thing about it is, to me, when Joe Biden left office, Fauci's lawyers, this has all been documented. I think up within to like an hour or two before Joe left the White House, they were pushing him for a full pardon for Fauci. I mean, what does that say when your lawyers are begging the president? He needs a full pardon. He needs a full pardon. Okay, he got it. He's gone. It's over. Let's move on. Why are we rehashing this in the summer of 26? There are much bigger issues that Congress should be addressing right now. One is the Social Security issue that's coming in 2032. Another big issue is dealing with our federal budget, dealing with money for the Iran war, trying to put the U.S. attorney in place. And oh, by the way, Tom Tillis and John Cornyn, who are leaving the Senate because they hate Trump. Cornyn came out this week and said there is no way he's going to vote for Todd Blanche to be the new U.S. attorney of the United States. So all these senators that are leaving that have grudges against Trump, they're not going to do anything to help him before they leave at the end of the year. And there are bigger fights to be had than having Fauci come up there. And I think, didn't he take the fifth 111 times? 111 times you said you take the Fifth Amendment? How many times can you ask somebody the same question? What's his name? Senator Hawley was asking him stupid questions. What's the color of the carpet in front of you? And, just crazy questions. He wasn't going to say anything. So why are we doing this? It was a waste of time to me. I don't get the point. And now they're going to vote, I think, next week to hold him in contempt of Congress. Okay, big deal. How many times have the Republicans held people in contempt of court and it's gone nowhere? Former Attorney General, what was his name? Eric Holder, the IRS agent that I can't stand. What's her name? Oh, my goodness. They let her off the hook, that she was targeting Republicans. Lois Lerner. John's so much smarter than me. John is like, man, John, you're brilliant. They just let her off the hook, and they had her all the way. Republicans, we're not true believers. We don't go all the way when we have the goods. They're bigger fish to fry than this Fauci thing and COVID. It happened. I don't want to relive it anymore. I don't ever want to talk about it again. Okay, we're left. How much time we got left? We got about 10 minutes left. Um, I want to give you my parting thought of the week because this was given to me 2 weeks ago by a friend of mine, and I didn't get to talk about it last week. But I think this is really great, and it speaks to people that love to run and that are runners. So if you'll bear with me just a minute, I want to share this with you. I think this is great before we get out of here. Okay, for all my runners out there, you're going to love this. Final thought for the week. This is really good. I read this 2 weeks ago. It was about a person's childhood and their father. And the young boy was made to get up every morning and run with his father at 6 in the morning. And at 18, the boy left home and cut off and had no contact with his father for 10 years later. He came back with an envelope, and it said, every morning at 6 a.m., you made me run in the rain and the snow. We had to get up and run, and the boy hated it by the alarm clock, even in the cold. And so he left home. Never called, never had any input at all. And one day, the boy put a note in the father's hands when he came back 10 years later. And it said, every morning, same routine, same time, the empty space next to him, the father said was louder than any argument. And so the boy comes back one day, knocks on the door at 28. He gave his father an envelope. Father opened it, and inside was a photo, and it was taken of the boy, and on the back of him was a picture of the boy crossing the finish line at his first marathon. And there was one sentence, and it went something like this. I hated every morning. I hated you for it, the life that got hard, and then I realized you didn't teach me to run. You taught me that I could keep going, when everything in my life wanted to stop and got hard. The father looked at the photo and he looked at his son, and he didn't speak because the thing that drove his son away was the thing that brought him back to him at the hardest lesson, that he didn't feel loved. When it happened, sometimes you only understand at 28, at 6 a.m., what it meant to him as a child and then as a parent. So when you are a parent and you do things for your children, sometimes they may not like us for it, but they'll appreciate it later in life. I wanted to get that in before we got away for the week. Some divorce content for the week. I've had a number of divorce consults this week, yes, even in August. And it's rare that a divorce client leaves my office after a case that they are not given a book on some material that I try to share with them, because I'm trying to help you get to the next phase of your life or your journey, whatever it's going to be. And this is some information that I shared with a divorce client this last week. Right now, I can't help but think of you and the reason why you're doing this. Sometimes I think of giving up. Honestly, I'm so tired, but I know you deserve better. I will stay strong for you when you read this, and I hope the worst is over. I hope you are a little happier, and I hope life is treating you better. You deserve so much more. I promise I will do everything I can to give you a better life. Imagine writing this letter to yourself a year later. And so finally, you come back and you read it, and this is some information from a poetry book, and I'll tell you the name of it. That is really good information. by Alex Aubrey. Alex Aubrey. Right now, you have to be claim that you are your own hero. You get up for things. They're pretty rough right now. I can't help how they are. You are the reason why I'm doing this. You have to say this to yourself. Sometimes I think of giving up honestly. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But I know you deserve better. I will stay strong for you when you read this, and I hope the worst is over, and I hope you are a little happier out of this, and you treat yourself so much better and what you deserve. I promise I will do that, everything I can to give you a better life. Imagine writing this letter to yourself a year later when this is over. Finally, ready to begin again. That is from the poetry book entitled by Alex Aubrey. That is good content that I give to divorce clients. And second, sometimes it's about the other day. I choose to let go. I choose to release the people who no longer choose me. I choose to let go of the ones who made me question my worth. I choose to let go of what no longer feels safe or kind or loving to me. I choose peace. I choose to start replaying the same hurt in my head. I choose to open myself up to joy instead of hiding behind the pain. I choose to believe that even after the scars, the beauty and the growth happen. Today, I choose to stop hurting myself. I choose to distance anything and anyone that drives me. I choose to be free from the pain that I kept holding on to. I choose to give myself some love and give away to the love that I give to others. I choose to welcome instead of carrying sadness. I choose to open my heart instead of building walls to hide behind. And I choose to accept my flaws and let them teach me how to grow and choose to courage. I choose to say what I mean. And sometimes what you have to say is no. Sometimes you have to say no to people and put up walls and boundaries and keep them out of your life. I choose to honor my time, my energy, because your time is your greatest and most valuable asset that you have. You choose healing. You choose to forgive yourself. And I say this all the time, come down off the cross and forgive yourself. The past, you choose to protect your spirit. You move forward with your strength. Today you choose kindness for yourself. You choose to stop blaming yourself for the past. You choose to stop carrying the guilt that was never yours, and you choose to be gentle with your healing. Calm down, come off the cross. I always tell my clients to excel, to walk away from negativity, to free yourself from old hurts, old stories that you've kept telling yourself in your mind. Learn to love yourself again so that you can be a better person. And that is from a book that I gave a client this week that is called Life Even After by Evie, E-V-I-E, Shaw, Evie Shaw. It's a great book. There are a lot of these books that I get to sample for divorce clients, and sometimes I may pick a passage or a chapter that relates to clients. But every client that comes in, there's not anything you could tell me that could shock my conscience. But if you do enough divorce consults, all the issues are the same in just a different role. They are. But everybody that comes in, they're telling a stranger the most intimate details of their life. And so it's really important that when you sit down and you talk to them, you're not judgmental in any way, because people live all different types of lives, okay? Some people are neat freaks. Some people are hoarders. And it's just there are people that like cats and there are people that like dogs. I mean, people are just different. So you're not judgmental, but you meet your client where they come in the door and you try to find the best information so that when this is over, when they start the next chapter or their next journey or their life, they're better off. I have a number of clients right now that just want to get the case over. And I always say this a million times. I say, you're making a business decision right now and you're emotional. And you're going to look back in 12 or 18 months and you're going to say, you're going to hear my little voice in your head and you're going to say, Joe said this was a business decision. This is an emotional decision right now. So just slow down a little bit. If you were married for any length of time, 8, 10, 12, 20 years, do you end a marriage after 20 years and a day if you've got significant assets or issues in play? No. You need to slow down. You need to let the lawyers work through those as best they can and come to the best resolution for those people and those parties in those cases. I have one client that just wanted to give away everything the other day and say, Joe, just give it all to them and get it over with. And I said, I will do that if you want me to, but I'm going to make you sign something with me that says you don't come back in here and say that I didn't give you legal advice and I did you a bad job. And then he was like, you know what? That's why I hired you. Let me just slow down and you walk me through this a little bit. It's a big decision. And my goal is to get you on the next journey, the next chapter on your life, so that you'll come out of this better than when you left it. It takes time for healing. It takes time to grow, to be your next better self. And that's what I want for my clients when they come out of this. I really want them to be better. Okay, so next week, just to remind you, we have Amy Atkin in the studio. She's going to be running for Congress. You do not want to miss that interview. If you missed the first hour, please go back, listen to the interview with the mayor of Homewood. She was fabulous. I think in 2 weeks, we have another divorce lawyer that's going to be on the radio with us. And we've got some great guests coming. The mayor of Mountain Brook is going to be on with us in a couple of weeks. And we've got some good interviews lined up. We always enjoy the show. We always enjoy the program. If you need a lawyer, call my office, 205-825-5297, and have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Got to go. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram of Joe Ingram Law. Don't forget to follow Joe's Legal Lowdown podcast on iHeart. If you need a private legal consultation, reach out to Joe on his website, joeingramlaw.com. Tune in again next Saturday for the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by any other lawyer.